Hello, everyone. I hope y'all are doing well. So this is our first Teaching Moment Tuesday. And so we will be doing Teaching Moment Tuesday and Thursdays for the next little while just to give y'all good little snippets of information. And so these videos will focus on one thing in particular of a certain skill in volleyball that we think would be helpful. And so, with this, we'll kind of break down that skill of the day through maybe some video of players, and we'll provide some sort of action that you can do at home in order to really focus on that skill. We know times are tough right now, and so we're getting creative on ways that we can still stay in the loop and just ways that we can keep improving at volleyball. So, I'm going to talk today about serve receive and facing your server. And so, kind of the way my video is broken up will be I'll do an intro and explain what all I'm going to touch on and why it's important that I'm touching on it. And then I will show a bunch of clips of current players that have done this skill, maybe poorly a few times, but have done it successfully a lot of times and shown what that truly looks like. And then I'll actually get out and show you the at-home serve receive drill that you can do on your own. And then lastly, we'll do a little bit of a review of serve receive seams. And so I'm just super excited to get to share this with y'all. Please keep coming back to our social media pages and our YouTube page because we're going to post these videos. And so it's a good way to stay in the loop. So there are lots of different things that are really important in serve receive. One being efficient feet, there's tracking the ball, facing your server, and creating angles. And so we could go on and on about the different things that are important in serve receive, and there's many others as well, but we're going to touch today on facing your server. So when we talk about facing your server, it's really helpful to start in serve receive already facing your server, and that means positioning your chest in a way that totally mirrors where that server is. So if I'm in left back and my server's in right back on the other side, I'm going to totally be facing that server, and that will make my seams very easy. And we'll touch on serve receive seams later, but starting with that point, different people do it differently. Some people like to start with one foot in front of the other just based on preference, and that's okay. So kind of moving forward in our video today and in this presentation, it's important to know that when we talk about facing the server, it's really, really focusing on where you're facing on contact and where your finish is. And your finish should be still. And so as you're finishing your pass, you're holding your platform, your angle is out in front of your body, and your shoulders are facing the server. And so just keeping that in mind, and then just knowing in general, we talk a lot about taking the ball on your left or right hip. And so I'm including 2 videos of what that looks like when I'm referring to taking the ball on your left or right hip, because we really try to stay away from taking things dead center in the middle of your body. But we also don't want to focus too much on taking the ball way far away from your body. So when we talk about facing the server, that's really going to help you in order to take the ball on your left hip or your right hip. And now we will move into some clips from this season with some of our players showing real life examples of how facing your server is important. Common things that happen when you don't face your server, and then successful attempts where you do stay facing the entire time and you're able to take that ball on your left hip or your right hip. So Ellie starts facing her server, but she finishes more towards the right front. So this takes her ball over towards the right front because she's no longer facing the server. Ideally, in this situation, Allie would stay face the whole time and take this ball on her left hip. This time, she fully faces her server the entire time. So she is fully facing that server. She gets her angle out and then holds her platform. Perfect pass. And we'll show one more. This time with server from the other side where she fully faces and then presents that angle out in front. Her shoulders are faced, then she holds her angle. So again, one more time in slow-mo. It's on her left hip because she's facing that server, and then she holds her platform. So this ball goes towards the target. So next we have Callie. So it's coming from right back. She opens up, and now her chest is facing away from the court. So we'll watch again. So she takes a step, and then as she takes this next step, her shoulders turn away from that server. So watching this really shows just the importance of attacking with your feet and attacking with your shoulders facing that server. So moving forward, we'll watch this one coming from straight ahead. She faces, and then she holds her platform. So that ball was to the right. Callie faces her server the entire time, gets her angle out, and then holds. So notice she doesn't turn to her right, even is going towards her right. So the same thing on the left side. She's facing that server the entire time. Watching it one time in slow-mo. She keeps her chest and shoulders facing and then presents an angle. So on contact, her shoulders are facing that server, and that ball goes towards that target. One more time, sped up. So next we have Brooke. So Brooke fights for positioning, and then at the last second, her shoulders turn. So she attacks this ball. It looks like her shoulders are going to face. And then at the last second, you can see they kind of stay forward more towards that right front on the other side. So we would like for her to keep moving towards her left and mirror with her shoulders towards where that curve came from. So now we'll show a good one. She moves towards her right, keeps her shoulders faced, and that ball goes to the target. So the ball's to her right. She moves there. She stays faced the whole time, and then gets her angle out. It's a really nice angle and a good hold. And again, this ball, this time to her left, she stays faced the entire time and then presents an angle. As you can see, this ball catches her pretty high, but because she stayed faced, she's able to get that angle out and bring this ball back towards the setter. So moving into the serve-receive drill that you can do at home. So thinking about this, it's pretty simple. Your goal is to always face the server. And this will be pretty obvious in the examples that I give. I give a bunch of video clips showing, but the goal should be your shoulders always stay facing your server, and then you're trying to take the ball on your left hip or right hip. And so it says this on this slide, but there will be 4 different targets in this serve receive drill. And so kind of unlike how volleyball is normally, we have one target where that setter is. This really focuses on you having to manipulate the ball to hit different targets with the same focus of always staying faced. So I'm not going to turn and face towards a target just because it's somewhere else. I'm going to face my server and then manipulate my angles by dropping my shoulder and taking them on my left hip or my right hip. So the only things that you're going to need for this serve receive drill are 4 items, and it really doesn't matter what they are. I use like a frisbee or a dog Jordy's giraffe, a random backpack, and so the person doing the serve receive drill is going to be over there in that corner, and I'll show y'all how that looks in real time in just a minute. but you do need someone tossing and or serving. So Nathan's gonna help me out here. So during this, we'll move him around several different times to different spots, and you'll see that in the video. But the goal behind this is to make sure you're always facing. So wherever you position yourself in the video, you need to be fully facing that server the whole time. So when Nathan moves over here to the left, you'll need to make sure you're turning and facing, and you can pretend you have those serve-receive lanes that we talked about earlier. But I'll show you later on. But I'll receive serves from Nathan basically in right back, in middle back, and in left back. And the goal the whole time is to stay facing and manipulate your angles. So starting in the middle back, you can see my 4 items out and in front of me. And so my goal is to basically go around the square in terms of my target. So each time I pass, I'm going to have a slightly different target. But the one thing that's going to remain the same is that I'm always going to face where my server is. So Nathan is over here on the left. I'm going to keep my shoulders facing him and then create an angle to get this ball to go in the direction of my target. And so it's super important that you're always trying to stay faced, and then you can present that angle out in front of your body. So Nathan changes up where he's serving from a couple times, and then I change up where I am in serve receive, but can definitely do this at home with a parent tossing or brother or sister serving at you. But main focus is to make sure your shoulders are always facing the server. I am also including some images of serve-receive seams. And so you can pause this video at any time and look in depth at seams, but this would be if a server was in the left back. And so that shows that the passers would turn and face. And for example, the far right passer, that passer would have a ball that is short in front of that middle back passer, and then would have deep to their sideline. And so if you need a refresher on this, feel free to reach out, but these images are just a really good picture of what that would look like. Next would be a server from right back, and so the people in the serve receive pattern would turn and face the other direction. And then lastly would be if a server was in middle back. And so I show you all of these just as an example of how important it is to know your seams, because that's going to help a lot in terms of being able to face your server and being able to know what angles you need to attack to be successful while facing your server. So just some final thoughts. Thank y'all so much for joining me. If you're going to take anything away from this video, take away that facing your server is super important. And so if you physically face and serve receive from the beginning, great. If you like one foot in front of the other, that's okay too. But on contact, you need to make sure that you are fully facing where that ball came from, aka the server, and then you're creating that angle to the target. So we're not finishing towards the target, I'm facing where the ball came from and then presenting an angle. Again, if y'all have any questions or anything like that, feel free to email me. But if not, y'all have a great day and I hope you enjoy.